Hello and welcome back to ERU, where we round up the biggest talking points and results from around the continent, and we are reacting mainly on winners and losers, but we just thought we'd briefly cover it now to Man City escaping a Champions League ban after a successful appeal to CAS. Cannot believe it. Wrote a 2,000-word script on how they were ready to be banned and how they deserve to be banned, which I now need to change, which is slightly frustrating. But McCubs, what's your immediate reaction? Are you as surprised as I am?
I wouldn't say I'm wholly surprised, but yeah, it's a fairly kind of depressing outcome, isn't it? In terms of like, you know, what FFP is supposed to supposedly stand for or mitigate against, and apparently because it was, you know, because all of this happened over 5 years ago, or a lot of it happened over 5 years ago. At least that's from a lot of the reactions I've seen on Twitter. That's apparently one of the reasons why. But obviously, a lot of the full details probably aren't totally clear at the moment. So yeah, it's a little bit, it's a little bit deflating, I think. Just to kind of realise that really, or like fully realise that these rules essentially don't apply to everyone. At least that's what it feels like.
With the likes of PSG sort of getting away with it in recent years as well. It's a sad day for football as well, I think, with financial management just going out the window slightly. But let's go on to happier news, because our winners, McCubs, are Real Madrid at the suggestion of @Tamish Bahal. And why is that?
Yes, Real Madrid are now just 2 wins away from winning their second title in 8 years after a comfortable 2-0 victory at home to Alaves on Friday night. It was a win with its fair share of controversy, or at least threatened to be. They were awarded what appeared to be a fairly soft penalty after Navarro fouled Ferland Mendy in the first half. Benzema tucked that away, and then Asensio's goal was correctly given after initially being ruled out for offside in the build-up. And it was an entertaining match. It was by no means a walk in the park for Real, although they probably deserved it. Both sides shared 28 shots. 18 for Real, 10 for Alaves. Real put 8 of theirs on target to their opponent's 5. So from that, doesn't seem too uneven. But XG did show Real to have created the better chances, essentially at 2.4 to 1.3 in Zidane's side favour. And it continued what has been a perfect resumption for Los Blancos. I mean, they've played 8 games since the restart. They've won all of them, scored 15 and conceded just 3. They really came out of the blocks fast, and showcased, you know, what they've been, you know, what they've shown themselves to be capable of at points throughout the season. Obviously, you know, haven't been this consistent until now, but yeah, were showing signs, you know, especially their defence, that they were essentially the best team in the league. They might have scored 16 fewer than Barcelona. But yeah, like we're saying, like the defence has just been ridiculous, hasn't it? 21 goals conceded in 35 games. That's 5 fewer than next best Atleti in Europe's top 5 leagues. And their coronation should be a formality as well. They play Granada away tonight, who have just 2 wins in their last 10 games. Villarreal on Thursday, who I guess will pose a bit more of a threat. But then 20th place Leganes next weekend as the season ends. So yeah, it looks to be a sealed, doesn't it, Doogie?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they really, really do deserve it this year. And I think Zidane has suddenly got the credit he somewhat didn't get in his first spell at the club as well, in the way that he's fixed up this side, how he's found, you know, solutions in midfield with the likes of Valverde coming into great effect this year. And he's done it all without his £100 million signing, Eden Hazard, you know, playing particularly well this year, mainly due to fitness issues. So he deserves an enormous amount of credit. But this was a disappointing result in the end for Alaves. But their new manager, Juan López Muniz, who replaced Asier Garitano after 5 consecutive defeats in midweek, can be pleased with their performance. Real have only conceded an average of 8.6 shots a game this season, but they fired off 10 efforts here, Alaves here. They hit the bar with an effort from former Newcastle forward Joselu, who didn't have much luck in terms of scoring in England either, and had an effort cleared off the line by Varane. So Real were made to work for this victory. And Alaves' main threat going forward actually came from former RB Leipzig forward Oliver Burke, who was on loan at the club from West Brom, which I didn't actually realise at all. And the 23-year-old had a very solid all-round 90, so he put in 1 tackle, won 2 aerial duels, completed 2 dribbles, provided a key pass and had a shot. But he has struggled somewhat this campaign with just 2 goal contributions in 28 league games, 11 starts. And seeing how highly rated he was when he was young, so that's a pretty disappointing return. So hopefully he can keep that form that he showed against the superior opposition of Real Madrid going for the rest of the year. Because Alaves need him to start firing. This result leaves them 17th, just 3 points clear of 18th place Mallorca. For Real, their key performers, Modric was absolutely superb, looking very comfortable once again in those tight spaces at the edge of the box that he loves to operate in. 92% pass accuracy, 2 tackles, 4 dribbles, 1 key pass, 4 shots. Just that's Modric of old, really. Man of the match once again, though, was Karim Benzema. 89% pass accuracy. That's absolutely insane for a striker. 4 key passes, 4 shots, 1 assist, 1 goal. He now has 18 goals and 8 assists in 34 La Liga games this season. And with only really Sergio Ramos, being a consistent goalscorer in this Real side this year, Benzema has been absolutely vital. And no one deserves this La Liga crown, which looks like it's heading to Madrid if they get that win tonight, more than Benzema. So well done to Benzema, well done to Real Madrid. It looks like you've sewn up that first title in a while. Let's move on to our loser.
Before we move on to our loser, though, here is a quick clip from our very own Patrick Van Straten about our brand new channel.
Hello, it's Patrick Van Straten, just letting you know about our new podcast channel, Football Daily Podcasts. From now on, the Extra Time podcast will be going live over on that channel every week, and it will not be alone. We'll be premiering a European football podcast very soon, headed up by our very own Doogie Critchley. So head over to Football Daily Podcasts if you want to check out the podcast in video form. And of course, you can still get it as an audio download on your favourite podcast app. We hope to see you there. Bye.
Thanks for that, Pat. Obviously, if you aren't subscribed to Euro Football Daily either, please do so and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another great video like this one. If you are unfamiliar with what we do, we put out videos like this every single day. So yeah, you really don't want to miss out at this point in the season. But yes, our first loser, or our only loser, sorry, comes from @PaulGarateQ, and it's Atalanta, Doogie.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit harsh because they played well in their draw with Juve, but they did miss the chance to go second in Serie A after drawing 2-2 with leaders Juventus in Turin on Saturday evening. And it was a bit of a missed opportunity because earlier in the day, Lazio lost 2-1 at home to Sassuolo to continue their awful form since the resumption. So this left Juve with an opportunity to go 10 points clear and Ledea the chance to leapfrog the Biancacelesti, and in doing so reduce the lead at the top to 6 points. And the visitors, Atalanta, looked the brightest early on, with Duvan Zapata firing home, following fantastic interplay with Papu Gomez on the 16th minute mark. Really sharp finisher now these days, Zapata. I don't know where his sort of form was until about 2 or 3 years ago. He struggled at times with Sampdoria and Napoli, but now just looks really like one of the best all-round forwards in Europe. And it was the Colombian's first goal in 4 games, so it ended a little bit of a drought for him. But it takes his tally in the league to 15 in 22 appearances this season. And it was no more than Atalanta deserved. Gasparini's men dominated Juve in the first half, with 55% possession, and fired off 7 shots to the host 3. But as they always do, the Bianconeri fought back in the second period. Ronaldo equalising the spot in the 55th minute after a Darun handball to take his Serie A total to 27. I thought of both penalty calls, this was the harshest because Darun's arm was right inside, tucked into his body. It was a very close range cross from, I think it was Dybala, but I can't quite remember now. But yeah, Darun absolutely gutted. And I feel like VAR with handballs has made it it's impossible not to give a handball now if you review it by VAR, unless it's insanely close. And I feel like we're slightly seeing a situation where it's just getting a bit silly with handballs now. So they do need to have a look at changing the rule, I would have thought. And despite Atalanta then going ahead after that equaliser from Ronaldo through a Malinowski rocket, well worth checking out that goal. CR7 spoiled their night once again on the 90th minute mark, making it 2-2 following another tight handball call, this time against Luis Muriel. Guys, we want to hear from all of you guys on both these calls. Darun, Luis Muriel, should they have been given? Are you a bit like me? Are you a bit fed up with the handball rule? Let us know in the comments down below. But Macubs, Atalanta have plenty of a reason to feel slightly aggrieved at not just those calls, but how the performance in the night went.
Yeah, Atalanta fans will definitely be disappointed with this result. I think, despite the title probably being just about out of reach for them at this stage, I think it would have been a great statement, wouldn't it, to defeat the champions in waiting, and especially with the Champions League coming back next month, and them now playing, finding out that they're playing PSG at the end of last week. This would have been a great result for them. And while Juve came out on top on XG, with it reading 1.79 to 0.7 in their favour, when you take the penalties out of it, it's a slightly different story. So it's not not the walk in the park that maybe XG would have you believe. Without those 2 penalties, the old lady's expected goals would have read 0.27, which just goes to show how just how well Atalanta dealt with the Juve attack. They mustered just 4 shots in the box compared to Atalanta's 8 all game. So clearly, despite Atalanta maybe not creating the most clear-cut chances, they did overall have the more effective game plan, I guess. As usual, Papu Gomez was fantastic for the visitors. In 68 minutes on the pitch, he took 2 shots, got an assist, and completed 51 passes with a 91% accuracy from attacking midfield, really linking up everything for La Dea on the night. And despite going off with 22 minutes to spare, the Argentinian took more touches than anyone in the Juve team, bar Bentancur, who himself completed the full 90. So a totally dominant performance from Gomez. But some credit does have to go to Juve for their second half fight back. Obviously, their goals did come from the spot, but they did wrestle back a bit of control in the game. They mustered 54% possession in the second period, and also stuck 4 shots on target to Atalanta's 1. So they're not completely unworthy of the result. And the aforementioned Bentancur was excellent too. He completed 71 passes, which was the most on the pitch. He completed 2 dribbles, made 7 tackles and interceptions, which is also the most on the pitch, and created 2 chances. So a real all-action performance from him in midfield. Obviously, highly rated player who, at times has maybe received a bit of criticism this season, but tonight, but in this game was excellent. So with 6 games left to play, Juve are now 8 points clear at the top. They could effectively seal the title next Monday against Lazio. But yeah, a slightly demoralising result for Atalanta for sure. But what do you reckon? Will this be a worthy title for Juve, or would you have preferred to have seen it gone to, say, Atalanta or Lazio? Let us know in the comments below. Let's move on to our main headline.
So there wasn't an obvious star of the week this week, and we had to talk about the news coming out of the blue side of Milan, McCubs, because there's a bit of drama that's emerged over the weekend, isn't there?
Yeah, a bit of unrest in the Inter Milan camp. Apparently, according to Tutto Sport at least, Antonio Conte wants to make between 9 and 10 signings this summer, while the club's ownership would rather that figure stood between 4 and 5, which does seem a lot more reasonable, and especially in the circumstances surrounding this summer's transfer window. The Nerazzurri have, of course, already made one big acquisition this summer. That's Achraf Hakimi, who's arrived for 40 million euros plus add-ons from Real Madrid. So already a hefty chunk of money spent there. But apparently Conte is unhappy with the strength of his squad. Obviously, they've only won 3 of the 6 games since the resumption. And he's apparently bemoaning a lack of a winning mentality in the team. So maybe already a few cracks beginning to show in his reign at Inter. Obviously we've seen it before at Juve and Chelsea. He's not the easiest manager to work with, despite getting pretty consistent results on the pitch. But with some big departures from the San Siro this summer, or potentially big departures from the San Siro this summer, the club may well have some work to do. So yeah, what are the deals that are being kind of rumoured, Doogie?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're at both ends of the pitch. Obviously, we've heard about Lautaro Martinez for months now. He's long been tipped to leave, and if he does, the club will likely receive over 100 million euros. Talk of Milan Skriniar moving to Man City has also intensified in recent weeks, and you imagine with the news of this morning that Man City don't have that Champions League ban, that looks even more likely. And Conte is supposedly open to a swap deal involving Gabby Jesus joining the Inter ranks, which I think would be a very bad move for Man City, in that they'll probably have to replace Sergio Aguero in a year's time anyway when his contract comes to an end. And Gabby Jesus has not been quite as consistent as Aguero this year, but when he has had a run of games, not least recently, you've seen his talent come to the fore and still has so much developing to do at only 23. So I wouldn't be rushing into that. But last week, reports suggested that City value Jesus at 70 million euros. So a fee would surely have to be involved in that too, because Skriniar is probably closer to 90, you would have thought.
Do you reckon? I would have thought Skriniar was maybe worth less, but...
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, I always see Skriniar just go for... It seems like him and Koulibaly are constantly linked with sort of 90 million euro moves, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Guys, what do you guys think Skriniar is worth, and what would Inter Milan want for him? Let us know in the comments down below. But the club has also been linked with the signature of David Alaba, whose contract at Bayern runs out next summer, with Emerson Palmieri, an apparent backup option for the left wing-back slot. We've also seen them linked with Marcos Alonso over the last few months. And meanwhile, the outrageous rumours involving another swap deal continue, with Marcelo Brozovic supposedly being used as a make-weight to try and lure N'Golo Kante from Chelsea or Paul Pogba from Man United, both of which I don't really see happening. Although if I was Frank Lampard, I'd probably be more inclined to swap Kante for Brozovic than if I was Solskjaer trying to swap Pogba for Brozovic, because they are quite different style of player, and Pogba has played so well in recent weeks, whereas Kante, we've seen a few more injury issues pop up in the last 18 months or so. But to be honest, I don't see either of those moves happening. But guys, what do you reckon? Can Inter Milan pull off some of these business moves this summer? Will it all fall apart under Conte? As McCubb says, notoriously combustible character, never seems to last that long in a job, seems to frustrate his hierarchy no end, and really 9 to 10 signings in one summer. Like I don't think that's even very good for squad cohesion, when Inter Milan have looked pretty sharp at times this season. They've just not played very well since the resumption, but they'll still comfortably finish in the top 4, barring an almighty collapse. But guys, what do you guys think of these moves? Skriniar, Gabby Jesus, Alaba, let us know what you guys reckon in the comments down below. And that's all we've got time for on ERU for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Let us know what you guys thought of our comments in the comment section down below, as I said. And McCubbs, what should they go and do now?
They should obviously go and subscribe to the podcast channel if you haven't already. Last week's podcast is up there. And if you didn't already know, there's going to be a new podcast, right, Doogie? Chaired by yourself.
I think so, at some stage,
on
yes.
European football, so keep your eyes peeled for that whenever that is. Go and check out everything you need to know on Football Daily. Go and check out the Football Pyramid from the weekend on here. I think that's all I can think of, Doogie.
Great. And get involved with the comment section on winners and losers as well. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely spicy after this Man City announcement. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.